Hello guys, and welcome back to the Wedding Buzz. Today I have a special friend as a guest on the podcast. Her name is Dana. She's the owner of Elegance and Co Florida, a luxury on-location hair and makeup team in South Florida. She's a seasoned hairstylist whose work has been featured in magazines, runway, and she's learned from some of the greats like Martin Parsons, Sam Villa, Farouk Shamratove, and Lala's Updos. I don't know if I pronounced those all correctly, but I tried.
You did great. No worries.
Well, Dana, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to dive in. Dana, you guys, is one of my good friends, but she's also in the bridal world. She obviously does hair and owns an amazing team. If you're in South Florida, you guys need to check her out. But anyway, let's dive in. I want to, share with our listeners what they should know when it comes to hair for their wedding day. So let's dive right in. What should brides know before booking a hairstylist? Like how many artists, how much time would they need? And then how about like hair and makeup combined? Like what do you suggest that they know?
Well, definitely planning is important. I feel like some brides jump in and they ask questions and their wedding is in a month, let's say. And right now that's okay because we're out of season and it's not as busy and I probably will have the people for it. But we also go on vacation, like we have lives too. So planning really short term is not good. So try to plan as far in advance as you can. If your significant other has asked you for your hand in marriage in advance, then yes, you can plan. For the amount of people that they might need for the wedding day, like if you need 2 hairstylists and 2 makeup artists and all that, that really just depends on what time you need to be done by. So if you have a photographer who's like, I really want to take pictures at like 1 o'clock and the wedding's not till 5. Well, we're going to all need to be done probably by 12 and then do touch-ups from 12 to 12:30. Mm-hmm. So that's always really important to work closely with either your wedding planner who's going to plan with the photographer or with the photographer, them, because they kind of know what the lighting is in that area. They know what shots they might want to get, behind the scenes of the mom putting the necklace on or the, fake putting the veil on, and then I'll go in and put the veil on right after for real. So there's things like that, but I do all of the planning and invoicing with the bride. So if she does have questions, I can be there to answer all those questions. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing is just plan in advance.
The timing. Yeah. That's something that in my program, I have a big section on the timing because I feel like people don't understand. They don't have a good grasp on like how long things really take. And yes. I've suggested to brides before, like, okay, your ceremony starts at 4. Let's make sure that hair and makeup's done at 12 or 12:30 or 1, whatever. And they're like, what? Like, yeah. Why? And I'm like, because things take time. I've seen it go really well and I've seen it go really bad if they're not listening. So what should brides know about the getting ready space? Like where they're going to get ready that day? Does that matter? I know the answer is yes. So enlighten us. Why does that matter? What should they look out for? What should they provide for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know we've kind of discussed this before, but having tables, lighting, chairs, all those things are so important. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a hotel and there's a bed and like a nightstand, not even like an office desk or an office chair. That's it. So then we have to take the time, and we always get there early, so that's okay. But we have to take the time to call down to the front desk, get like a couple of chairs and everything. We're okay without the tables because we usually come with our own tables, but we still need chairs for people to sit in. So one hotel that I actually love that's pretty close to downtown West Palm is the Hilton, because they have an actual bridal room that has a living room, a bathroom. It has a full kitchen, lighting on an entire wall is
wow.
Floor to ceiling windows. So that's great for the makeup artist. And then they have a bunch of tables and chairs. So we had 3 hairstylists and 3 makeup artists in there before, and we all were very comfortable, spread out. The girls, the bridesmaids and everyone, were eating croissants and, they were making eggs, and it was really comfortable, but yet it wasn't in someone's room, because I know when we do all the hair and makeup in the bride's hotel room, mm-hmm. they want to come back there after the wedding, mm-hmm. or they want to take really cute pictures there while you all are getting ready. And there's stuff, purses and shoes and clothes that you were in before you got in your cute little robe. So, they really have to think about that. My photographer's coming at 1. Where are we going to put all this stuff? Mm-hmm. So if you have that bridal room or let's say a suite somewhere else that's just for bridal getting ready, that would be awesome.
That's ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, it's actually kind of what I did on my wedding day. I had a 3-bedroom suite to myself the night before. And my mom was like, "You're sleeping in this by yourself?" And I was like, "Yes, it's going to be great." And of course I slept in one room and the other 2 rooms weren't used, but the morning of, cause I had 5 bridesmaids, my sister, my mother-in-law, grandmas. So when everybody came, I was able to say, "Hey, hang your dresses in that room, put your bags in this room." The hair and makeup was able to, it was like a suite. So we had like a huge kitchen table and there were windows. And again, my mom was like, "Why do you need all this?" But then when she saw it, it was like, oh, like it makes sense. I run into that a lot I think brides are like, "What?" And I'm like, "I promise it makes sense."
Yeah. You have a place to put everything when it's like time to get ready and take cute pictures. You don't want stuff hanging in the background, you know?
Right, exactly. Because then this happened a little bit on my sister's wedding day of like, we all got ready and then it was like, "Oh shoot, pack up," because we want pictures and we don't want all this stuff in the background. It's hard to pack up when you're in your dress and you're rushed. And you're rushed and your hair and makeup's done. You're trying not to ruin it. So it's tough. So try to pack up before is what I always suggest, and try to have a separate space.
Yeah. And a lot of times if it's at an Airbnb, sometimes the bridesmaids, like boyfriends or husbands, will drop them off. So they can't even put their stuff, their bag, their purse, their extra shoes in the car because the car's not there, because they only have like a limited amount of space, and the Airbnb is like parking area. So it's lots of little things to think about, and it's not the end of the world. I guess they could just throw everything in a closet, but you know.
It does, if they think about it in advance, it can avoid that chaos on the wedding day.
Yeah, it can leave a much more like relaxed vibe.
Right. Because the other thing is throw it in a closet. Well, are they coming back to that hotel room or that Airbnb after the wedding? Like, how are they going to get their stuff at the end of the night? So it seems so simple, but it's a big thing to think about. I didn't even know that. I guess you can call the front desk at a hotel and ask for extra like tables and chairs.
I haven't had to get tables, but I've had to get chairs, and we've even asked for like the bar stool type chairs for the makeup artists. Most of our makeup artists come with chairs, but some don't, and so they will deliver any type of chairs.
Oh.
Most hotels.
I mean, I feel like that's good to know, but I wouldn't plan on it.
Yeah, I mean, it would just make things a lot easier if people had chairs in the room, because they know people are going to sit. So,
or I mean,
chairs.
If those are listening are like, "Oh, I didn't know that," maybe call in advance and say like, "Hey, I'm going to need chairs," and confirm that with the hotel, so that once your makeup artist or hairstylist gets there, it's not like, "Ugh, now we have to wait and call and then figure it out."
Yeah, and that's another thing. If the appointments start at like 9 a.m., no one should be there, before 8 a.m. messing up the room, making the room messy. But yet we need people there at 8:30, like 30 minutes before appointment time, so we can get in, possibly call down, get chairs, and set up our stuff. Like, it takes time. So if everybody shows up just at 9 a.m., we're already behind.
Right.
So that's another thing for brides to remember is be early, or have like a bridesmaid come 30 minutes early to let me and my team in, because we don't have a lot of wiggle time.
Yeah. Last week I had a guy, John, on the podcast, and he was talking about catering, and we were talking about how he can do everything in his power to have the food ready by like 7 and it's going to be fresh and great. That's his job. But if the wedding day is going late and the guests aren't seated and ready for dinner at 8, the food that he had fresh at 7 has now been sitting in a warmer for an hour, and like, it's not really his fault. And the same thing goes for you guys of like, you plan how much time it's going to take and how many hairstylists and makeup artists you need to get everybody done by a certain time. But if you show up at 9, or if you show up at 8:30 wanting to start at 9 o'clock and the girls aren't there, if you're not done by 12 or whenever, it's like, there's only so much you can do. That makes it really tough for you. And then everybody's rushed, and it's not good.
And the work's just not going to be as fantastic as we want it to be, and what our brand ensures
is
art. That flawless look.
Yeah.
Makeup and hair. You need a certain amount of time, especially if you're adding in extensions or someone has wet hair. Like, we always run into that issue, and we need to sit there and blow dry it. That's another 15, sometimes 20 minutes, depending on how long their hair is.
So speaking of people coming with wet hair, what should they come with? If they have curly hair or dry hair, clean hair, what should they do?
So it's a huge myth to come with like 5-day-old hair because no matter what, especially being in South Florida, you know, you're going to have some type of sweat and some type of product in your hair, or your hair is just not going to have any volume at all. And no amount of dry shampoo or anything is going to make it as refreshed as having a fresh wash. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, I don't recommend washing it at 9 a.m. if your appointment's at 9:30, because then your hair is going to be super limp and like kind of damp. Mm-hmm. So I suggest to every bride and the bridesmaids, if they have it in their funds, is to get a professional blowout or blow it out themselves the night before with some type of product in it. So mousse, root lifting spray, something that's going to give it a little bit of texture. Mm-hmm. Because if they don't, you know, the style is not going to hold as long the next day. But if they get it blown out the day before, you know, maybe they have the rehearsal dinner, so they already have a cute style, you know, and then the next day it's still fresh.
That is a great idea. Get a nice blowout for your rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
And then it's still clean for the wedding day. Because it is a big myth that people are like, oh, you have to have dirty hair. And it's like, no, we don't want dirty hair.
Yeah.
We just,
one day is good.
One day is good because, you know, if you need to add texture, I'm sure you have like texture spray and hair oils and things, but dry shampoo is great, but it's not going to fix 5-6 day old hair.
No.
The way that you want your hair to look on your wedding. And this goes for bridesmaids too. Yeah. Like if you're a bride listening, remind your bridesmaids of this. Don't have them come with wet hair. Don't have them come with 5-day-old hair.
Yeah. And if your hair is extremely curly, like 3C, like, you know, the size of my pinky, very curly, they would want to get it either relaxed or they would want to get a blowout and then a flat iron the day before.
That's another good point. So if you or your bridesmaids have very curly hair and you want the curl pattern changed.
Yes, if you want a sleeker style, we can provide that, but it's going to add a little bit of time to the day.
And you need to know it in advance.
Yes. So I do like to ask the bride all those questions when we're doing the timeline. You know, does anyone have hair past their bra or down to their pants? That's going to add time. Does anyone have extremely curly hair and they want a sleeker look? That's going to add time. Is anyone getting extensions other than the bride? We need to add 15, 20 minutes to put the extensions in because they have to be put in a certain way. So those are all things that I ask, you know, preliminary type questions.
Does it cost more money if someone has very curly hair and wants it blown out or straightened?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. And then extensions. Let's talk about that because that's a great option and you are an extension specialist. Yep. So let's talk about that for a second. I know it's kind of bridal. So
it is, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you suggest as far as extensions for brides?
So I normally like them to have clip-ins. And I would love it if they could have over 180 grams of extensions. Sometimes certain brands that are like inexpensive are like 100 grams or less, like 75 grams. And it's just not a lot of hair. So some of these photos people are seeing on Instagram and Pinterest are like 300 grams. So it could be like 2 and 3 packs of extensions. So I think the brides have this misconception that, oh, we're paying a lot of money to have our hair done, so it's going to look just like this picture without extensions. And every time I see the picture, I'm always like, that's extensions. That is not that person's 100% real hair. So I have to kind of educate brides and remind them of those things because extensions add not just length, because I do have a lot of brides that have long hair, but it adds the texture because extension hair is not silky smooth. It's usually like a thicker cuticle. It's a thicker type of hair. It usually is a little bit curlier, so it holds the curl better. Being down here in South Florida, the humidity is so bad that if you just have all natural hair, the curls are not going to hold nearly as well as if you had extensions hair, where you could literally curl your hair and probably have it last for 4 days if you didn't sleep like a maniac, you know?
Yeah. So I talked to my hairstylist for my wedding about extensions when I did my trial. Yes. So let's talk about a trial. Do you want brides to do a trial?
Yes.
Do you suggest that? What should they know about a trial?
So trials are 100%, extremely important. The only times we don't do them is if we have a bride that's from out of state and she's not able to come before the wedding. And so then it's just kind of like, okay, well, you're going to get what you get. Don't get upset, So we love trials. And I always talk to the bride before the trial, ask for a picture of their hair in good lighting, front and back. I asked them to like hold their hair as if it was in a ponytail to see how thick it is. And then I asked for a few inspiration photos. They can be different photos. They don't all have to be of the same girl. Like, let's say you like the front of one style and you like the back of another. That's fine. I just have to have a good idea of what your desire is so I can fulfill it, And so once I see that photo, if it's a very sleek, tight little bun, you don't need extensions, If it's something that is a lot of volume or it's all down, I would recommend extensions because, you need that extra added hair.
I think people look at Pinterest and see these girls, if they want like that long, full hair, and it's like, how do they get that? It's extensions. It's extensions.
Totally.
Like, it's not that girl just has really thick hair. It's not that the hairstylist like used a different curling wand. It's extensions. They really can like make a big difference. And the curl, like it does last so much longer. And if you're a South Florida bride, I mean, everybody down here knows the humidity is it's killer.
Yeah.
So extensions are a great thing. And trials. I mean, because then you can see it on yourself. You don't want to have that, oh no, I don't like it moment on your wedding day. This happened to my mom on my sister's wedding day. I mean, it was fine. And it was not my mom's wedding day, but she saw a picture online that she really liked and had the girl do it to her. And then she was like, I don't like it. And it's like, because she doesn't look anything like the girl in the picture,
Right. I recommend that all the time. If someone has dark features, maybe don't pick a picture of someone who has dark features if you have light hair and blue eyes, let's say, or if your hair's blonde, like don't pick a girl in a Pinterest photo that has brown hair. Like it's just not going to look like that.
Not going to look the same.
So I do recommend like color schemes, skin color, all those things. Try to find someone that kind of looks like you.
Yeah. On the wedding day, how long do you stay? And is there an option for you to stay longer?
Yeah. So I will stay and put the veil in and we'll clean up and everything like that. But if they need us to stay, like let's say they're going to take pictures 3 hours before the wedding and then they're going to come back and we'll touch them up. They have to pay us for that 3 hours that we're kind of just sitting there. If they're having us stay for the wedding and they're going to do a different dress, like sometimes the brides will come out in a short dress and like tennis shoes or something like that. And so we can like restyle the bride if she wants her hair all up for the reception. So yeah, they would just have to pay for however many hours. At that point, it would just be an hourly rate and they would have to pay for however many hours they want us there. And we could be there all night if they want us there. So.
Yeah. Do you recommend people having you stay? Is that a common thing that you see or no?
It's common with like higher end luxury brides that are having that second look. A lot of Indian weddings, they will have us stay because sometimes they have another event the next day or their event runs really long and they want to look good the whole night. So we'll touch up, like if they cried, the makeup artist will touch up around their eyes. If their makeup like creased at all, they like fix that a little bit. If their hair got frizzy in any way, I'll fix that. So there are a lot of things that it is very good for us to stay, if they're concerned about that. If they're not, I just recommend one of the bridesmaids have a curling iron and maybe makeup that matches like everyone's makeup if they can, or everyone carry their own little like compact to kind of touch up. I like to like recommend having their own makeup, like their own lipstick to touch up their lipstick because you're eating, but they could just do that, like long wear and take a little bit of the makeup artist and have it in a little palette.
That's my makeup artist gave me a little sample of what she used on me that day. I paid on my wedding day she was hair and makeup. She did both for me, but for her to stay up until the ceremony. So I didn't do like a second look or anything, but I did a first look with my dad and we went outside and it was kind of windy. Yeah. And so that's the other thing is, yes, you have to be ready hours before the ceremony because the photos, but you want to look good for the actual ceremony. So it is a good thing to keep in mind because I was really happy like that she was there to touch me up before the ceremony. So I felt fresh right before then. But I did have to pay
Yeah.
Hourly. For me, it was worth it. It depends on your budget and whatnot. But yeah. So speaking of touch up and whatnot, what are some recommended hairstyles that you feel are like best for brides? I mean, obviously it depends on what they want, but what's good, what's bad? Especially, I mean, we can talk about South Florida since that's where we are, but like sometimes it's windy, sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's really humid. So what lasts long? What's best?
So if you're going to get married on the beach, I would recommend having your hair up, because then you're not worried about all the little pieces flying in your face and your photographer's taking this great photo, but you've got like a curl like that, you know, like covering your eyes or something crazy like that. Same thing goes with makeup. You know, if you have a very dramatic look, but it's an early morning wedding, I don't know if that really goes with that look.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think mainly the beach weddings, because we have a lot of beach weddings here in Florida. Wear your hair up, or if you're going to wear it down, extensions, because they hold the curls the longest. Mm-hmm. So you can have those wavy curls and they're not going to just frizz up, you know, because it's not like our normal, like thin, fine hair. It's extension hair that's a lot coarser.
Yeah.
So, but the ponytail is really in right now for a lot of bridesmaids, to have that like thick ponytail where it's teased and, you know, you've got volume here and then the back is like a real big, thick ponytail. Mm-hmm. So that's really popular right now. And then boho braids, so like a half up, half down. And they'll do like 2 little braids on the side and maybe like a flip braid in the back, you know, where you like flip each little rubber banded piece.
Yeah.
So that's really popular. That gets the hair off your face.
That's what I did for my wedding day. I don't know.
Okay.
It was like a boho braid or like a bubble braid.
Yeah, like a bubble braid.
A bubble braid, yeah. It was like half up, half down bubble braid. So it was out of my face, but it was still down.
Yeah, you still have the hair like around your like neckline. If you like a lot of brides don't have any straps and they might feel kind of naked on top. So having that hair there is like a little like, oh, this is part of my outfit, my hair, you know? So when all your hair is up, some people might feel like it's a little too much skin or overexposed, or they just feel like they don't have anything on. So that's also something to consider when you're a bride and maybe you're not used to wearing, you know, the tops without any straps. So have hair.
Yeah, have hair. So everyone that comes on here, I ask them, do you have any wedding day horror stories?
Horror stories. So I just had one like bridezilla, and that's
recently?
No, not recently.
Oh, okay.
This was before COVID, like, I don't know, 6 years ago.
Okay.
I've been doing this over 20 years and I love what I do. But I had this bride and she had one bridesmaid who had braids in her hair. And she wanted every single bridesmaid to have the exact same dress and to have the exact same hairstyle. And so I put the girl with the braids in her hair in the low bun that everyone had. Well, when I finished, the bride was like upset, not just at me, but at her friend, that she didn't have the braids taken out. And we all kind of looked at her like, well, we can't take out. It was the micro braids.
Yeah.
Like really tiny, like the size of this cord.
Yeah.
Braids taken out on the day of your wedding day in like 45 minutes to an hour. It takes like hours, like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So she just didn't communicate that ahead of time to me or the bride. So that's a whole nother thing with planning. And that's why I like to ask the bride for pictures of her bridesmaids and their desired looks too, not just her. So there is no surprises on the wedding day, because that's something, I mean, I wouldn't care on my wedding day. I told my girls, do whatever you want. Yeah. But, you know, if you want a certain look and a certain aesthetic for your wedding day and it doesn't happen, you know, you could become a little bit of a bridezilla. And so she was like really upset at her friend, and like all of her bridesmaids were like, are you kidding? Like, stop, relax, you know? And so she had to, I mean, she had no choice, but that's something where communication really comes into play. If you're that type of bride and you want everything, you know, a certain way, then you need to tell your bridesmaid ahead of time, and not just the day before, multiple days before, because she would have to have them all taken out. She would have to have that booked in her schedule. Like if she's a working mom or full-time, whatever, she has to have time, like 4 hours to have it taken out, her hair shampooed and conditioned, possibly relaxed. That takes hours. Yeah. And then styled, like curled or whatever for before the wedding. So that was really the only kind of crazy situation.
Yeah. I mean, people don't always understand, like, why do you have to plan every detail? But it's going to avoid chaos on the wedding day. You have to really think everything through and communicate. Like, you cannot assume.
Yeah.
What's obvious and common sense to you is not going to be the same thing that's obvious and common sense to everybody. It's common sense isn't common. So
right. And it's not your brain. I mean, everybody's different.
Which that's not even a common sense thing. That's just your preference.
Yeah. The girl didn't know that her friend didn't want her to have her braids in.
Yeah. If that's like her normal hairstyle, like, why would she assume that she had to change it for the wedding day? So, okay. That's a good horror story. I guess it's not.
It's not terrible. She wasn't like mad at me. It was just, she just didn't communicate that with anyone. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's where that comes into play. And, you know, they need to think about like your friendships. Yeah. Don't get mad at someone about something like that.
That could be hurtful to your, like, to assume that and tell her, change your hair and whatever. And like, you don't want to hurt your friend's feelings.
Yeah. So there's a lot to think about. And as long as you're planning, you know, then you're good. But, and especially if you're someone who struggles with anxiety, you want the wedding day to be as like calm and peaceful as possible.
Yes.
So if you plan a little more, you know, further out and you kind of try to plan for everything and get a planner or, you know, the book or the program, then that takes a lot of stress off of the bride.
Yeah. Yep. That's my goal.
Yep.
That is my goal. What advice do you have for our listeners, whether it be hair advice or marriage advice?
Well, hair advice is to get that blow dry before. That would help with some type of root lifting product, you know, mousse, stuff like that. And then wedding day advice, like drink a mimosa, eat some food, because I definitely have had brides and bridesmaids pass out. So eat some food.
Didn't you have someone pass out at your wedding?
At my wedding. I totally did. And it wasn't necessarily food. It was because she's more of an introvert and doesn't like to be in front of people. And so she was, you know, one of my 6 girls, my bridesmaids, and she kind of like stumbled into the girl in front of her. And then I'm up there like, are you okay? You know, like, what do I do? Do I go to her? You know, so my mom got her and sat her down in the crowd for a little while. But yeah, that's a big thing. Like, choose your bridesmaids wisely. If you know they are like agoraphobic, I don't know, or they're just not ones to ever want to be in front of people, maybe don't ask them. They can have another role. They can help with something else.
They can like still go to your bachelorette weekend. Yeah. They can still get ready with you.
Yeah.
But you can have a heart to heart with them and be like, I know you don't want to stand up there. Like, I know you don't want to, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I'd definitely recommend is check on your bridesmaids.
Check on your bridesmaids.
And then marriage advice, you know, my husband and I have been married 11 years and we're happily married. And I just think communication is key in any relationship, in a friendship, in a marriage, you know, between a bride and their hairstylist, anything, a bride and their planner, but especially in marriage, you know, I feel like a lot of women let things go and they don't talk about it and they're like, it's fine. You know, that typical woman thing to do. And I hate that. And I'm like, I wish women would just be like, no, it's not fine. I didn't like this. This upset me. And why it upset them, because men are not the same as women and they don't understand why putting the big spoon in the wrong drawer upset you. Right. You know? Well, you've been doing it for 10 years. Stop doing it, you know?
Right. And like, it's not fair to him or her, like, to be expected to read your mind and change.
Right. They don't know
little things like it. I mean, I noticed with my husband, the things that bother me are like so the opposite of things that bother him. It's so funny. Like, I'm like, oh, we're having people over. And he's like, okay, I'll clean the garage. I'm like, what? Like, no one's going in.
We're not opening the garage door.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But to him, that's his space. So if someone does go in the garage, like that's his, you know, it just, and so you just got to find that balance of, you know, communicate. It's like, okay, I know the garage is important to you.
Yeah.
But the laundry being put away is very important to me. Yeah. But that is good advice. And I love you and your husband. You guys are so cute. I feel like.
Thank you. We love you guys too.
You guys, I love, like, you guys just seem like true best friends. And I love that. Well, it was fantastic having you on today. I really appreciate you being here. Where can our listeners find you?
So we are on Instagram under Hair Elegance and Co FL. And we are on Facebook, but I don't post as much there. So mainly Instagram. And then we have the website too, just .com at the end. But yeah.
Gotcha. Well, if you guys are in South Florida, reach out to Dana. She's fantastic. Her and her team will take great care of you on your wedding day. She's done my hair before. So anyway, thank you for being here. It was
You're welcome.
great.
Thank you for having me.